Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nithar Ramachandra from the NRR Sports Show. This is episode 958, alongside with one of our friends, Tom from Lit Media Productions. Go check out his page. He does a great job. And we're joined by a really special guest. His name is Jonny Gomes. He's a former baseball outfielder. He won the World Series with the Boston Red Sox in 2013. What a special year that was, which we'll get to. And also, he played with a bunch of other teams, Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, Washington, Oakland, two stints with Oakland, Atlanta Braves, Royals, and he also played in the NPB League, which we'll get to also. But first of all, Jonny, I just want to say thank you for joining the show. Obviously, he's part of two companies, Baseball Cloud and Yakutak Cameras, which we're going to talk about also. But first of all, how are you and your family doing? And thank you for joining the show. It's truly an honor.
Yeah, man, we're doing all good. We're up to 5 kids, so full house.
Well, congrats.
Definitely zone defense here. But yeah, man, we're healthy and happy for sure.
Hey, congrats on that.
Thank you much.
All right, so Tom, you want to start off, and then
Yeah, let's start it off. Jonny, appreciate you joining us. So what was the MLB life for you? What's the lifestyle that people don't see? Minors are different, triple A's, those type of minor league levels. What's it like playing at the MLB level? What's the everyday style and one of your best moments you've had?
Yeah, man. I mean, you see some bats behind me. It was actually the other day, kind of like, hit me really for the first time. So, for Mother's Day, we would always swing, a pink bat, to honor the breast cancer and your moms and all that stuff. I was kind of going through some old stuff, and I had like 13 pink bats. You get one a year. And I was like, as the first thing that hit me, I was like, damn, I played a long time. That's pretty cool. But yeah, man, what's it like? I mean, I tell you what, just to, a couple easy numbers. I mean, it's 162 games in about 180 days. And that's not counting, 40 days of spring training. And then once those numbers are up, now you get into the 12 games that really count, and that's the postseason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, imagine any kind of employment where you're working 162 days out of 180. So it's a grind, man. I mean, East Coast, West Coast, day game, night game, time change, all the stuff. And, I explain, I mean, I was fortunate to get, a day plus, a bunch of years. So I soaked it all in, every single game, every single day. And I explain it like whatever you've done in your life where it's like the most or the biggest adrenaline rush, whether it's like a bungee jump or childbirth or wedding or whatever. It was like that every night, every night in front of the crowd and getting into the box. And it was, I mean, it went by fast, but, if you want to hear about it, it's going to take a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously you grew up in California, and when did you get interested in playing baseball, and when did you get into the game? And there's a lot of baseball is big in California, obviously. And who would you say your biggest role model in the game was?
Yeah, man. I mean, baseball, was it 4 or 5 years old, whacking a ball off a tee, and then just riding it all the way out. I played all the sports though. I was also real big into like core sports. So like snowboarding, mountain biking, motocross, wakeboarding, single ski, stuff like that. I was a real active kid outside. But yeah, just, high school, I went junior college and then just rode it all the way out. And as far as like a role model, so when I was 8 years old, almost 9 years old, if you remember 1989 World Series. So it was the A's and the Giants. So both teams that were right in my backyard. So that really kicked off the love for the game, seeing that. And then just following the Oakland A's, man. I mean, they had it all. You had Ricky Henderson stealing the bags. You had the Bash brother. You had Mike Gallego, Carney Lansford, Eckersley, all those guys. And the way they played the game, really groomed how I played the game.
Now, speaking of Oakland, you went back to Oakland a couple of years ago. Now, what is that, your hometown crowd? What was it like playing around guys like Josh Donaldson, Coco Chris in that environment, Oakland Coliseum? What was it like playing back at home? Yeah,
man. I mean that was a trip. I was so fortunate. I wore Oakland A's pajamas, and then I wore the Oakland A's uniform. That was the stadium I used to go to as a fan, and I used to sit in the upper deck and look down and, just awe over how big the field was and how white their cleats were and how white the ball was and all this stuff. And then find myself, right there in the dugout in the clubhouse on the field. So that was a pretty cool, you know, I mean, playing in Boston, playing in all the places, you know, it's great. But, you know, the team I grew up cheering for, the team I grew up watching, the stadium I used to go to as a fan, you know, I had the opportunity to call that home.
Yeah, so tell our fans, where did you get the energy from, Johnny? Because throughout your whole career, you always brought the energy to all the teams you played with, and obviously you're that guy where if something goes down, you're the one who brings the team up. So where did you get that from?
I don't know, man. I just think it's just, you know, I didn't take it for granted. You know, I mean, it was exhausting at times to where, you know, I mean, I literally thought every game was going to be my last, or at least that's how I was going to play. And, you know, I felt I had to represent, you know, my family and my friends and, you know, my fan base that, you know, cheered me on and watched my games and stuck by my side. You know, I owed it to them to give it my all.
Now, who's been a big role model to you, Johnny, that you looked up to as a child? You can say, "Hey, I want to be like that person," in in the majors. Who did you look up to, and who did you describe your game as to?
Yeah. So, you know, I tell you the truth, you know, going back to those, you know, late 80, early 90 Oakland A's days and watching them play, you know, watching the Ricky Henderson steal the bag, sliding head first, you know, I always wanted to do that. Got that. The Bash brothers, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, man. I mean, they, you know, shut it down by just hitting moonshots. So I want to hit a bunch of homers like them. But, you know, most importantly, you know, I was all about like winning, you know, I was never about like wanting to win the MVP or wanting to win the batting title. And those were, you know, individual goals were never one of mine. You know, I was always about winning. And, I tell people, you know, that's the only anniversary in the game. You know, we don't really celebrate like, oh, 20 years ago, this guy won the batting title. You know, the only, you know, anniversary are those pennants hanging in the outfield of division titles, league titles, and world titles. So I'm fortunate, you know, to have a couple of those pennants in, I think, 6 different ballparks, which is pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, so you started your career with Tampa Bay, obviously a first-class organization. They always compete. I don't know how they do it with the small payroll, but they're a great franchise to watch. And I'm a Yankee fan, and it was always tough to play against them. But for you, what was it like starting your career with Tampa Bay and especially battling in the AL East, which is a tough division with Red Sox, obviously Yankees, Orioles, Blue Jays?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, the younger fan now, you know, knows it as the Tampa Bay Rays, but before the Tampa Bay Rays were the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, who were terrible. I mean, we're losing 100 games a year. We were just the doormat for the AL East. And then boom, we kicked the door down in 2008. And, you know, from worst to first, 07 to 08. You know, you just think about it now. I mean, our team payroll that went to the World Series is about what Max Scherzer's getting. You know, so I mean, $43.5 million payroll to go all the way to the World Series coming out of the AL East. That was a pretty magical year.
Now, take me through that year, Johnny. You know, 2008, you faced Cole Hamels. You got all these guys like Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley. And what was it like playing in your first World Series back in 2008 against these guys?
I mean, if anything sticks out, right? I mean, at home, I remember, man, that place was rocking. I mean, it was so loud. Coming from 2006 and 2007, you know, we used to count the fans, you know, like a Wednesday day game against the Royals, you know, you'd count the fans. You'd see a kid behind, you know, for third base dugout, like run all the way to the foul line to go get the foul ball, to just, you know, the loudest atmosphere ever. And then Philly, man, you know, it was cold, you know, damn, it was cold. I remember that. You know, and then we had the rain delay right after game 4, the 2-day rain delay. That was crazy. So coming back and having to play 2 innings, and that was the game they clinched. But we had a pretty magical run. But at the same time, man, that team was really good.
Yeah, speaking of that run, obviously you guys lost to the Phillies, but what did you learn from that experience so you can work harder the next year and become a better player? What did you learn from that experience?
Well, I learned probably the biggest thing was like really how hard it is to win.
Mhm.
you know, how hard it is to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you see now, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, the best team. It's the hottest team down the stretch. That year, they're definitely better than us. But man, there are just so many, you know, lucky hops and bounces and calls and things that have to go your way, you know, rolling into, you know, a tough series, and maybe their ace and their number 2 go down on the DL, and boom, you know, you get lucky there. You know, health is huge, and you know, you always need that rookie to step up, which was, you know, the Evan Longoria came on the scene right there, and the veterans with Cliff Floyd and Eric Hinsky.
Cliff Floyd.
You know, just a mix. But looking back on it now, I mean, gosh, I'd probably still be, you know, kicking rocks if I wasn't fortunate enough to win with the Red Sox and the Royals. But it was probably the best thing that happened, was get all the way there, get a taste of it, and lose. You know, so you know, I talk about, you know, you're hungry for it, but you got to be starving for it. So once that loss kicked in, it was go time.
Hey, Cliff Floyd is my guy. I had him on the show also last year.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
So Johnny, take me through, you know, the 2013 season, you know, with the Red Sox. You hit one of the greatest home runs, I think, you know, with the Red Sox. You know, he hit a 3-run shot, down 2-1 in that series, and you guys came back and won. Take me through, what was it like hitting that home run in Game 4 against, you know, the St. Louis Cardinals?
Well, how about Game 3, right? When the game was
Yeah.
called on obstruction, you know, I hate that call for the simple fact of, I think it would have been one of the best double plays ever turned. I mean, the play Dustin Pedroia makes up the middle was ridiculous for him to stop it, throws it home, gets the out. Salty, you know, airmails the third baseman, Daniel Nava, left fielder, being a pro, backs it up, throws it home, gets him out. Oh my gosh, one of the best double plays ever. And then it's obstruction, third out in the 9th inning, game over. Like, so I mean, the 24 hours, you know, leading up to Game 4 was just an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know, and being down, well, we're down 2-1 in the series, and then, you know, we're within outs of being down 3-1, and then that's a wrap from there. But yeah, man, I mean, never faced that guy before, and it just, you know, it happened so quick, and I was looking for a ball up, and you know, a righty, you know, I was up there smashing lefties, but I got the righty and I got that ball up, and you know, battled my butt off with some foul balls and put a good swing on it. And about 2 innings before I was playing left, Matt Holliday crushed a ball, and the wind kept it in. I thought it was going to be gone. So when I hit it, I thought gone right away, but I was like, oh, Matt's ball didn't go out. So I don't know, maybe the wind turned around for me.
Hey, but speaking of that year, take us to the beginning of the season. Obviously, a rough time in Boston with the Boston bombing, and a lot of things happening at once. And obviously, you posted 2 days ago on your Instagram. You guys use signed jerseys and the Boston Strong patches, and David Ortiz with that amazing speech. I will never forget about that speech ever. So take us through that when that happened, and how hard was it for you guys to overcome that, and be able to win the World Series for that city after what happened.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, before that happens, you would think like, you know, like a movie writer or something, like to script that out, you know, people would be like, nah, that can't happen. You know, it's like, you know, maybe on the 10th year anniversary of the incident, or the 5-year, but man, not the same year. People forget too, the hockey team, the Bruins, they went to the Stanley Cup, and they're in the Stanley Cup, and they went all the way to Game 7. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is magical. You know, the Bruins, and they lost. And it was like, oh no, that's not supposed to happen to us. You know, this is Boston Strong, and a tragedy. This is supposed to fix it. So once they lost, I felt a big shift in our clubhouse of like, man, you know, we got to put the city on our back.
Wow.
Now, what's the atmosphere like? How do people come together after that, Johnny? You know, how you guys came together, you know, winning the World Series. What does it feel like to bring something back to the community after that tragic event?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I was fortunate, you know, I played in, you know, six different organizations, but, you know, Boston's title town, man. I mean, the Pats, the Bruins, the Celtics, you know, the fan base, almost undebatable, right? You know, going to work every single day inside a museum, you know, the Green Monster. And it really wasn't hard to come together, you know, to tell you the truth. I mean, I remember coming back and we were playing our first game, And I really thought there wasn't going to be a lot of people in the seats because, whatever, it's dangerous. There was a freaking bomb just went off, all this stuff. But man, boy, was I wrong. That Boston Strong, that turned into like a lifestyle. And they jumped on our back and we jumped on their back. And pretty cool. There's a lot of titles in the Boston organization, but we were one of two. The other one, I think, was in the 20s to clinch at home.
Right.
And man, that was a magical run to the mound and dogpile there.
Yeah. So speaking of Boston, tell us about the fans and all. And I had your former teammate Stephen Wright a couple of weeks ago on the show, and he said that Boston is the best place to play. And for you, what was it? What was it like for you playing in front of the fans and playing at Fenway Park, especially?
Yeah, man, well, I got to play in front of the most popular thing in the game. That's the Green Monster. You go out there for BP and you can't help but to look at that, see all the dents, and just know like some of those are from Babe Ruth, some of those are from Ted Williams, some of those are from Wade Boggs. Same home plate, same Green Monster, all this stuff. So there's definitely an aura there. Esther and Pedroia, David Ross, Napoli. It was all on the plate, from the fan base to the awesome stadium, the history. Yeah, man, it checks all the boxes for sure.
And Shane Victorino, Flying Hawaiian, Jacoby Ellsbury.
Yeah, it goes on and on, man. I mean, we were stacked. Jake Peavy, we got Lester,
Andrew
Buckholz,
Miller.
Andrew Miller, Koji Uehara. He was our third closer of the year. Yeah, we were stacked.
Now, what was it like playing around those guys, Jonny? David Ortiz, Big Papi. What was it like? Did you learn anything from those guys to help improve your game to be better?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it starts with, learning how to play in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really clone that anywhere else. You have sellouts and you got Sunday Night Baseball here and there and all stuff, but it's every single night.
Yeah.
And then you got the rivalry with the Yankees. Toronto's good, Tampa's good, Baltimore's good, the whole league. And when you go on the road, you're getting the team's best. They want to beat the Sox so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know how many, there's probably going to be, I'd say at least 10 dudes on the ballot, maybe not in the Hall of Fame, but there can be like 10 dudes from that team on the ballot for sure. So we were stacked, and whoever picked us last, they screwed up.
Yeah. So speaking of, so obviously you spent your career with a bunch of different teams, and for you, how hard was it for you? You and your family kept moving on from team to team. How tough was that for you and your family?
Yeah, man. I mean, at times, it was tough. I always thought, at the end of the year, finish the season twice with a win, but other than that, packing your locker up, packing your bats, packing everything up, and you look to the guy to the left and he's not packing anything up because he's coming back for sure. Mm-hmm. But where it stands now, man, I mean, I had a piece of the pie. I mean, the managers I had Lou Piniella, Joe Madden, Dusty Baker, Davey Johnson, Bob Melvin, Ned Yost, on and on. With those GMs of those organizations, with those superstars in those organizations, from the Longorias to the Peñas to the Joey Vottos to the Bruces to the Freddie Freemans, the Donaldsons, Eric Hosmer, Moustakas, on and on and on. So, man, fortunate enough now, giving back to the game, just having a piece of the pie from, the American League, the National League, big market, small market, East Coast, West Coast. So I'm fortunate now.
Now, which, AL or NL, which one was the toughest division or toughest, place to play, Jonny?
Toughest place to play. I don't know. I mean, it's the big leagues, man. It's tough to play here. But a lot of people don't realize. So with Tampa and Boston and Oakland, like the travel, right? When I was with the Reds in Central, I mean, there's an hour flight here and there and there. Yeah. But every time you get on a plane in Tampa, I mean, you're going a minimum of 3 hours. So, the travel weighs on you, showing up to a city at 3, 4, 5 in the morning and have to strap it on. But there's no excuses in the big leagues, but those are some behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, so tell us about the battles. Like I said earlier, I'm a Yankee fan, but tell us about the battles between Yankees, Red Sox. The rivalry's obviously still big here. And what was that like battling against the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it now, just being able to share the field, I mean, I made my debut at Yankee Stadium. First at bat, I got a double, and I about fell out just to be like, damn, there's the captain, like in the flesh right there, taps me on my back. Good job, kid. And I was like, whoa, the Jason Giambis, the Matsuis, the Posadas, Randy Johnson, all these guys, Mario Rivera. So just to share the field with those greats is lifelong memories.
Now, speaking of that rivalry, what was one of the greatest moments you had in that rivalry that will always stay with you?
Well, and there's a bunch. But being active and being, almost like on the tour with the farewell tour of Derek Jeter and Mario Rivera.
Right.
Just knowing, their time was coming to an end, and fortunate enough to get some stuff signed and, just share the field, with those greats.
Yeah, so I want to talk to you about your Braves career because obviously they won the World Series last year. So what was it like playing for the Braves, another great franchise, and you got to play with Freddie Freeman, one of the best first basemen. Now he's a free agent, so we don't know what's going to happen there. But what was it like just spending time with the Braves, Freddie Freeman, and did you reach out to them when they won the World Series?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Chipper Jones there all the time. But yeah, I mean, like I said, like Boston, like looking up at the Green Monster, but then, when you go to Atlanta and you look up at that with like 14 consecutive pennants, the history and the winning, the tomahawk chop, one of the coolest things in sports, the uniforms, the uniforms are awesome. Got to play in that ballpark, and now they're in the new one, but, I got to close that place down. Yeah, man, first class organization. I knew it was coming. They were really good. Freddie's he's unreal, man. He's about to get super, super rich. I mean, he deserves it.
Now you played. Now you're talking about the Braves here. Now speaking of the NL East, what was one of the funnest? Playing with the Braves, like you said. What was one of the toughest places to play in the NL East? That Philly, New York. What was one of your favorite places?
Yeah, man, probably the Mets. The Big Apple. You don't want to take too big of a bite out of that apple. And that year, 2015, from the Braves, getting traded to the Royals and then beating the Mets in the World Series.
Yes.
On that field. Every time, I go back there, it's like, this place smells like champagne. So yeah, real, again, historical organization. David Wright was there, DeGrom coming, Syndergaard, Harvey, all those guys, Familia, my gosh. Yeah, they were stacked, but that was a heck of a series of, playing there.
So I want to tell our fans about some of your funniest moments or pranks or whatever you've been involved in. And the next part to this, who would you say your toughest pitcher you have to face throughout your career?
Pranks, man, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. A little this, a little that. But I was fortunate to play in a lot of really good teams, so it wasn't too much horsing around, as far as this and that. But the plane rides, the hotel rooms, the bus rides. I mean, we loosen up and take your guard down, have fun with the boys. The team dinners and stuff.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Toughest pitcher you have to face.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Mario Rivera, right? It's a weird tough though, because what's coming. It's going to be a cut fastball.
Yeah.
But gosh, I mean, normally when it's coming, you're sitting on it, and those are your home runs. But man, just that cutter was unbelievable. And the other guy I talk about is King Felix in his prime, up in Seattle. I mean, that guy was fair. I mean, I remember going up there, and this guy's throwing his fastball 91 to 92 and his changeup at 94. It's like, so that's illegal, man. Right? That guy's unbelievable. He was he'd embarrass you for sure.
Yeah, if you ever get to watch King Felix back in the day, that's where he was at. That's what over here in Washington. That's what we root for, King Felix. And man, his perfect game a couple years ago was insane.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't take it for granted too. I mean, like his postseason resume, not much, So I mean, the opportunities I had to get into that postseason, pretty lucky.
So tell our fans what was it like? Obviously moving, obviously playing in Japan. So how did that come about? The opportunity, and what was it like playing there?
Yeah, man. So I was on like year 12 in the big leagues. After 2015, I won, the second ring. Been to 3 World Series. Been to 6 postseasons. Won 2. I mean, self-aware. I knew my time was coming. So I decided, I'd maybe 1 or 2 more cracks at playing, and like, sure, I had a uniform and sure I competed and wanted to, help that ball club win. But more importantly, I called it like studying abroad.
Yeah.
You think about Japan, they're always 1, 2, or 3 in the WBC. But individually, there's, you got Ichiro and Daisuke, but as a whole, there's not too many. But yet, the WBC, they got the best baseball in the world. Yeah, man, I went over there and just studied their game, how they play, what they do, the crazy things. I mean, they play the same game as we do, and they don't have a pitch count. It's unbelievable. Our opening day starter over there went 164 pitches, and no one even batted an eye at it.
Wow.
The bunts, the hit and runs, the back control, the catchers are unbelievable. I mean, they catch, split fingers since the time, they get behind home plate. Yeah. So, there's a lot of real cool stuff, and took my family over there. We went to Tokyo Disneyland and took in Tokyo and the cherry blossoms and the castles and the food, and it was super cool.
Did you learn? Do you know any of the language?
I barely know English.
Now, what was the atmosphere like playing in Japan, in Tokyo? Different than the United States, Johnny. That's a big difference there.
Yeah, it's huge, man. I mean, it's like, you talk about an event like soccer, right? It's just nonstop, just craziness, the bells, the whistles, the noisemakers. At home, every time you go up to the plate, there's, a big cheering set, almost like the band, but, everyone has their own like walk up chant, that the crowd, does. And they love baseball over there, man. And the baseball players are so famous over there. It's crazy. So it was a great experience.
Hey, Tanaka is big time over there too. Former Yankees pitcher, now back with the team.
Yep.
So
I played for the team that he did, the Sendai Rakuten Eagles.
Oh wow, yeah. So I want to talk. Tell us about the World Series run with the Royals. Obviously, that was a young team, and no one expected the Royals to win, but you guys kept it together and played hard played hard that year, and that was like an inspiration to watch. And for you, what was it like playing with that type of young team?
Yeah, man. I mean, I was kind of, baffled that, they weren't on a lot of guys' radars. I mean, in 2014, if it wasn't for Bumgarner, they would have freaking blown right through and got to, the World Series. They went all the way to Game 7, and then come back 2015. The team's exactly the same. And then you add Cueto and Zobrist and myself, and everyone didn't really jump on right away. But man, that team was really good, man. It really was. And the Midwest, man, they packed the house.
Yeah.
That place rocks. Chiefs right across the street.
Yep.
That rally we had with the World Series, when we were doing all the, talks and stuff, that was in front of 1.2 million people.
Wow.
Wild.
Whew. That's great.
What was it like playing at Kauffman Stadium?
Yeah, man. I mean,
got the fountain in the background too.
Yeah, you actually forget how old that place is. That place is super old. I mean, there's been, teams that have had like 2 ballparks since that one came. But when they overhauled it, it's brand new. You get that feel from the water. That helps a little bit to cut that humidity. It's so dang hot out there. But the fan base, man, they love their Royals.
Yeah. So what's it like Now, obviously after your career, how grateful are you to be in this position, winning 2 World Series titles, playing for a bunch of teams, getting to your goal, working hard, and this focusing on the game, and how grateful are you right now to be in this position?
Yeah, man. I mean, my son every once in a while wants to, pull up some highlights,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, damn, that was so cool. They're like, oh yeah, whatever. I'm like, no, like that was awesome, man. I mean, look at this stuff.
Wow.
There's a small town in Northern California, Petaluma, junior college kid to, late 18th round draft pick, and just kicked and scratched like the whole way, and looked down and looked up, 2 rings and 13 years in. I was like, damn. So yeah, man. I mean, that's why I still got all this crap hanging up over here. I love it all. I soak it all in.
Now, Johnny, in 2018, you retired from, the majors. Now, take me through your coaching career. A lot of people don't see you as a coach, but we do. So
Yep.
take me through, your career, rookie league hitting coach for the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2019. So now take me through what was it like coaching MLB that you played?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was exactly what I wanted. Everyone, wants to rush back to the majors and, coach in the big leagues or do something in the big leagues. And I was like totally content in the minor leagues. They're all so coachable. They soak up your stories like a sponge. They want all the information. And they're in the same spot I was, right? Just looking for, answers, looking for help, anyway, how do you get to the big leagues? This, that, other thing. And it was great, man. I mean, I was totally invested in these kids, and, just if you're accountable, right? You're like, man, I just don't want to screw these kids up. I don't want to be the dream crusher for these guys. So just giving them all the information I had, and, watching a young 18-year-old still grow and, come into himself and turn into a man, and, start to hit some homers and steal some bags and teach him some baseball IQ stuff. It's super fun.
Wow. Yeah. Speaking of, obviously, let's get to some of your off the field, because you're doing great things off the field too. You're doing charity work with the Boys and Girls Club, and you're a broadcaster with Nesson, and now you have 2 companies, Baseball Cloud and Yakertech Camera. So what's it like now, just being involved in the game? So doing the charity work and having 2 companies.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I've just wanted to dive into as much as I could. I'm a baseball rat, so, having the opportunity to broadcast, that was super cool. I mean, I was in the game, from 01 to 18, seeing the game from the dugout, so to be able to be up top and see down, and understanding why some broadcasters can be so negative, because the game's so easy up there, man. It's like, oh, well, how do you swing that? It's like broadcasting my games probably would have been a nightmare.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then all the way down to, the amateur level now with the Yakertech cameras, ball capturing data, and that's where it's at now. And that's Baseball Cloud too, is, where the data is dropped. Data in our game now is it's replacing scouts, it's replacing coaches. If I knew a kid's, average launch angle, average exit velocity, his slug to right field, his slug to left field, his slug on off-speed pitches, like, man, you almost don't even have to go watch the kid play. The answers are right there for you. So just having these Yakertech cameras, to really advance these kids, recruiting, the small towns, the uncharted territory for scouts, man, you just get one of these Yakertech cameras, pop it up, and boom, you blast those out to all the organizations and to universities. And you can't hide hitting, especially when you have Yakertech.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Now, do you like doing this kind of I know you probably do, Johnny, because you get to see what it's like back then, now, how technology has changed the spin rate. You got ball velocity, you got all these different things which you would have had back then to see what you had. Huh?
Oh yeah, man. Absolutely. I mean, I talk about it like it's full-blown performance enhancing. I mean, you can have the whole report of a pitcher before you even face the guy. Back in the day, it was just, you needed 4 or 5 at-bats to find out what he had. Now you know his tendencies, what he throws in a 2-0 count, what he throws in a 3-2 count, the spin of his off-speed and the spin of his fastball, if it's going to ride, if it's going to break. yeah, man, it's full blown performance enhancing, and it's a matter of time before everyone gets on board because the numbers don't lie. But yeah, I mean it's the new jam for sure.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, I just want to get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the MLB lockout so far? Obviously, we're on day 30 or day 31 right now, and no one has talked so far. But what are your thoughts on that and the contract that's being handed out from last year with Corey Seager, Max Scherzer going to the Mets, and Marcus Semien going to the same team in Texas? So what are your and then we still have like quality free agents out there with Carlos Correa and Freddie Freeman. So what are your thoughts so far? When do you think they can get a deal done here?
I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, it's different being a coach and it's different being an outsider, but it looks like a mess. It really does. I mean, there's a lot on the table to negotiate. I mean, are we really, leaving the DH, the thing that's, been around forever, or the pitchers hitting and stuff, American League, National League, the divisions, how many games they can play, salary cap, luxury tax. I mean, there's a lot on the plate right now. So, yeah, and it's probably going to take a while, and I'm glad I'm not involved in it. It looks like a mess.
Wow. Do you have anything else to add to Tom?
I'm going to ask you this one, Johnny. What advice do you give to these young kids, especially your family, people that have grown up? What advice do you give to these young baseball players, and what do they need to do to be where you were at in your time?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot. There's definitely not a secret sauce by any means. It's a results-driven industry. That's backed by failure. You talk about going 3 for 10. Man, you're awesome. But you might go 3 for 10 with 6 punch outs too. So it's up, down, up, down, up, down. Emotional roller coaster. But I think one thing like this game, man, like unlike other games, that there has to be like a size for you to fit in. You have to be a certain height to play center in basketball. You got to be a certain size to be O-line, D-line, linebacker, quarterback. Baseball doesn't care about that, man. It really doesn't. So with that being said, like the game will reward you with what you put into it. It's really hard to train the right way, live, eat, sleep baseball, and the game doesn't reward you. At the same time, with there being so much failure, you gotta marry the game, man. You gotta sell your soul to the game if you want to succeed.
So the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. He's now the coach for Grambling State, and we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. So I'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, any way I can help. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Big deal. Not talked about much. I teamed up with the CIA and FBI when I was in Boston to help that out with the child trafficking, and the numbers are outrageous, man. They got to find a way to nip it.
Yeah. So thank you. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now? Heroes,
man. True heroes, right? I mean, where would we be without them?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I take my hat, and it's not too many things in the world that you really got to be absolutely grateful for, and where would we be without them? It's pretty special people that sign up for that job.
Yeah, so well said, and there it is. That wraps up episode 958 with former MLB outfielder Jonny Gomes, 2-time World Series champion. What a great guy, great personality. Now he does a lot of great stuff off the field. He has 2 companies, Baseball Cloud and Yak Protect Cameras. Go check that out. Go follow him on all social media formats. And it was truly an honor to have him on the show today, and great to learn your story. And we would like to have you back on the show at one point down the line so you can meet the full team. But keep up the great work, Johnny, and thank you again.
All right, guys, be good.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yep.
All right, guys.